Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're tackling a corporate drama today that has, quite literally, massive financial stakes. We're looking at a company that has completely redefined its entire industry. But you know, what makes this story so absolutely fascinating is how deeply intertwined the company's valuation is with the personal brand of just one single individual. I mean, it's incredibly rare to see a global empire where the overarching vision, the market confidence, and the perceived future value rest so squarely on one person's shoulders. So today, we're breaking down the billion-dollar questions surrounding Tesla and Elon Musk.
Have you ever actually stopped and wondered why one single individual could be so incredibly important to a sprawling corporate empire? It's a genuine mystery when you really think about it. Usually, massive global corporations are explicitly built to outlast any single founder or CEO, right? They construct these deep benches of talent, they assemble massive, highly structured boards of directors, and they put super rigid processes in place just to ensure smooth transitions of power. If a traditional CEO steps down, sure, the stock might blip for a day, but the machine just keeps churning. Yet, here we are, asking a fundamentally different question. Why is this specific company fighting so hard and facing so much internal and external friction just to keep Elon Musk firmly at the helm?
Well, to really grasp the gravity of that question, we kind of have to anchor ourselves in the sheer scale of the situation. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars. That is the ultimate value of this corporate empire. We aren't talking about some niche Silicon Valley startup figuring things out in a tiny garage anymore. No way. We're talking about a market capitalization that has, at times, totally eclipsed the combined value of several of the world's largest legacy automakers. When a company carrying a valuation in the hundreds of billions of dollars relies this heavily on the vision, the drive, and even the public persona of one specific person, well, any turbulence around that leadership becomes a highly critical, immediate issue for global investors.
And that perfectly tees up our first major shift in understanding. Section 1. Beyond electric cars.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how much the narrative has completely flipped. For a long time, the public story was incredibly simple, right? They were an electric car company. Their primary goal was to replace the internal combustion engine with a battery, and honestly, that was the entire story. But the reality today? It's a dramatic shift toward becoming a full-fledged AI and robotics giant. This is absolutely crucial because traditional car manufacturing is notoriously difficult. The profit margins are generally super thin, and the capital required to build factories is just astronomical. So, to justify a sky-high valuation, the source material makes it crystal clear. The company had to evolve. They had to prove they aren't just bending metal and assembling batteries anymore. They're aiming at something far more expansive and, frankly, vastly more profitable.
This incredibly ambitious identity is built on four massive interconnected pillars: artificial intelligence, robotics, autonomous vehicles, and energy storage. And let's be clear, these aren't just isolated side projects or random products thrown at a wall to see what sticks. Together, this futuristic focus represents what could very well be the entire architecture of tomorrow's economy. Think about how they all interlock. It's almost like a giant puzzle. The vehicles currently on the road are essentially data-gathering robots, constantly feeding real-world driving footage into massive supercomputers. That data then trains artificial intelligence for autonomous driving. And then that exact same AI architecture is applied to humanoid robots being developed for factory labor, all while the entire ecosystem is powered by their advanced energy storage solutions. Every single piece of this strategy is a monumental industry on its own, all being developed under one roof.
Which brings us to a really crucial reality check. Section 2. A technology company first.
And this brilliantly illustrates their brief but absolutely monumental corporate journey. They originated as an EV startup, disrupting the traditional sluggish auto industry, but today, they've landed somewhere else entirely, a global technology company. This evolution is the absolute key to understanding the current narrative and all the tensions surrounding its leadership. They didn't just grow larger over the last decade, they fundamentally transformed their core identity. The engineering challenges shifted from merely optimizing battery chemistry to writing complex software that can navigate totally unpredictable physical environments without human intervention.
So, the consensus among many modern investors is exactly this. Tesla is a technology company first and a car company second. And listen, this isn't just a catchy marketing slogan. It's a complete paradigm shift in their underlying business model that completely dictates how the financial world treats them. When you're valued as a tech company developing groundbreaking AI and software as a service, like through autonomous driving subscriptions, your financial multiples change dramatically. Tech companies often trade at massive premiums because software can scale infinitely with really high profit margins. But to maintain that premium tech valuation, you absolutely require a visionary leader, someone who can constantly convince the market that these futuristic leaps are just around the corner.
But that expansive vision relies heavily on a central pillar. Section 3. The fight for Elon Musk.
Currently, there's some serious mounting tension that actually threatens to disrupt the company's entire trajectory. We're looking at severe legal hurdles and intense shareholder debates, mostly revolving around executive compensation packages and corporate control. Now, looking at this completely impartially, the sources lay out a really fascinating divide. On one side, you have fierce debates over massive pay packages, with courts in Delaware even stepping in to invalidate historic compensation agreements, really questioning the independence of the board. Some institutional shareholders are out there demanding more traditional governance, arguing the CEO is just stretched way too thin across other ventures, like SpaceX and social media. But then, on the other side, an incredibly loyal retail shareholder base argues that this specific CEO is the irreplaceable engine of innovation. They believe that traditional corporate governance will simply stifle the company's unique edge. It's a massive, high-stakes clash over how a heavily founder-reliant company should actually be run.
Which leaves us with a final, massive unknown. Based on everything we've explored today, the complex evolution from a scrappy EV startup to an AI and robotics giant, the staggering valuation built on software-like margins, and the reality of these mounting internal boardroom battles, the ultimate question remains: can Tesla actually continue its ambitious, world-changing future without him? Or is the entire ecosystem simply too dependent on one single visionary to survive a transition? It's a profound mystery for investors, technologists, and the market at large. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep this central question in mind as you watch this incredible corporate story continue to unfold, and I'll see you next time.